Alright guys, today we're going to be using long division to divide polynomials, and we're going to get into how we can go about doing this. So before we can use long division to divide this polynomial, we first have to rewrite this in standard form. Now that just simply means writing it from the highest degree to the lowest. And we also have to include terms with a coefficient of 0. Well, if you notice here, we're going from 3x cubed to 4x squared, and then we go right to a constant of 10. We're skipping that x term. So that x term has a 0, and we need to include that when we rewrite this. So for example, we're simply just going to have 3x cubed now plus 4x squared. And now we're going to write plus 0x. We have to include that. Remember skipping it, and then plus 10. Okay, so this part is very important. Don't forget that. So if it's missing, all right, you need to add that coefficient, all right, which is 0. And now we're going to divide this by x minus 2. So this is just like long division, except we're doing it now with polynomials. Remember, the goal is to get this to cancel out. So I'm going to multiply this by 3x squared. And we're simply just going to do this operation, 3x squared times x, right, 3x cubed. And we get minus 6x squared. And now at this point, what you want to do is put this whole thing in parentheses and put the negative sign on the outside. This will help avoid any sign confusion. So remember, if you distribute, it's really a positive 3x squared and a negative 3x squared. Well, that just becomes 0. These guys cancel out. And then right here, this will become positive, right? Negative times negative makes a positive. So now we have 4x squared plus 6x squared, which is 10x squared. Okay? We now bring down the 0x plus 0x. And let's go back up here again and figure out what we need to multiply by. Well, it looks like it's going to be plus 10x. 10x times x, well, that's just going to be 10x squared. And then 10x times a negative 2, negative 20x. Same thing, put it inside parentheses, put the negative side on the outside. Again, these will both cancel out, but then we have a negative and a negative that makes positive, so this is positive 20x. Bring down the 10. Almost done. Now we're simply just going to multiply by plus 20. 20 times x, 20x. And then 20 times a negative 2, well, that's negative 40. Okay? And then same thing, put it inside parentheses. Well, when we distribute here, I guess we'll just cancel. And again, negative times negative, that's positive 40 now. So positive 10 and positive 40, that is 50. So you have a remainder here. Now, in order to write the result, it's simply just going to look like this. We're going to have 3x squared plus 10x plus 20 plus our remainder, all by what we divided by, which is x minus 2. And that right there is your final answer. Now this comes in handy if you are trying to find the zeros of a function. So for example, if this was a 0, if x minus 2, right, if we have x minus 2, and this is equal to 0, well, this is really just x equals 2. If our remainder here was 0, which it isn't, but if it was, that would tell us that 2 is a 0 of this function. All right, so it's crossing, that would tell us that it was crossing the x-axis at 2. But in this case, it wasn't 0, we had a remainder of 50, and we write it in this form here.